versus the Predator, Ngannou!
The greatest heavyweight in the world!
You go into the fire with Ngannou, you go to sleep. Oh my goodness!
Wow, that's the baddest man on earth.
We're getting the belt out here. Wow. Wow. That is beautiful. That replica just doesn't do it justice, I tell you. Wow.
Grab it, feel the weight.
You sure?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah?
But when he comes back in and sees you with it in his hands, yeah.
We're not going to fight him for it, just to be sure. Wow. Wow.
Oh my god.
This is unreal.
I'm getting goosebumps, bro.
Yeah. It's a weird day already, this. It's a world heavyweight title. Francis, I've nicked your belt, but I don't want to fight you for it. Welcome back to the True Geordie podcast. You ready?
Yes, sir.
If the whole world was to have a fight, this guy would be the last man standing. It's the baddest man on the planet, the heavyweight champion of the world, Francis Ngannou. Thanks for coming, mate.
Thank you, Geordie.
Appreciate it.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. And you just came from the Tyson Fury fight last night, where he won by knockout in the 6th round. Dillian White went down. And then you get in the ring afterwards and pick a fight with him.
No, I didn't pick a fight with him.
Well, he certainly seemed keen on the idea.
Oh, yes. The idea is clear that that fight will happen. I was there in the ring cage last night to watch him fight, and it was a beautiful knockout, you know. Very clean, the uppercut, you know. Nobody couldn't see that coming. Perfect. But we have our own little statement to make. We want to find out who is the baddest motherfucker on the planet.
Damn right. Yeah.
He's a boxing champion in the world. I'm a MMA champion of the world. So, yeah, we can come together and see what is the outcome.
You're talking about like a hybrid fight between boxing and MMA, sort of MMA gloves, are you thinking?
Yeah, it could be. It could be an MMA glove. We haven't really think about it and how it's going to play out. Because first of all, we have an engagement with our promotion right now. So, I mean, unless they're on board, we can really talk about it, like put out the term. You know, now it's just some like hope to get it done sometime next year, because anyway, sometime next year we're gonna be to the point to go whether it's with or without our promotions.
Okay, so the UFC, for example, they've got you under contract until early next year.
Until late this year.
Late this year. So,
yeah.
So you're gonna make that offer to them. You're either with me, or I'm doing it anyway.
Yeah, or I'm in the UFC, but they have to consider that fight, you know, to promote that fight for me.
Wow.
Or to co-promote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've worked yourself into a fantastic position where most of the fighters never get to, because you were willing to keep fighting on your original contract for the same money, and you bet on yourself in that last fight, even with an injury, so that you could be a free agent and do what you want to do. A lot of people, they've never managed that. Conor McGregor couldn't do it. Why did you take that path? What made you want to do that?
Freedom and free. You know, you have to earn it. And it wasn't about the last only about the last fight. People know more about the last fight because that was the moment that I spoke about it, and I always spoke about it because like my back was against the wall. The UFC kind of like put me in that position that I have to like defend myself and tell people like, no, it's not because I don't want to fight. It's because this is the real reason. This is what is going on. You know, I have to explain that. I didn't want to do that. You know, like bring stuff up. I thought we're gonna fix things behind the stage, but behind the stage I was getting bullied, and I didn't like that. You know, but it's been over 2 years that I've been working on this since I realized that I am nothing. I have no say in my career, and I will never make any decision in my career if I'm still in that contract. So I need to get out of that contract to be able to, like, even if doesn't mean I don't want to be in the UFC, but I want to be in the position, a free position to negotiate a new contract, you know. Therefore, I can speak and claim my value, my worth, you know. But when you're negotiating a contract, while you're still in the contract, technically you're not negotiating. You're just like being some sort of like submissive, accepting, you know. You have 3 fights left in your contract in 1 or 2 years. They have a right to extend it for maybe 2 more years. Oh, no, you're not negotiating anything, because whether you say yes or no, you're going to fight. So what is the point? They just offer you a little bit more money, you know, and then in this situation, it takes a lot to say no to the money, because none of us is like getting that much money, you know. So it's very hard for a fighter on this day to say no to a contract, even though no is not good for them. They have 2 fights left or 3 fights. They have 18 months left. There is a possibility that they can extend them with no explanation, no reason, a real reason, and they cannot contest that. They cannot say anything about that. So when you kind of like think about those stuff, you're like, this contract is messed up. This is not a contract. This is the ownership. I don't want to be owned by somebody. I just want to be free. And if we keep working, we can do it as a partner. I see myself as a business, my own business, so I can partner with other business and work with them. But nobody can own me. I'm the CEO of my own company.
I mean, you bang on. You know, you see what they do to people like Nate Diaz, for example. Nate Diaz is being held at the moment. He wants to fight Jake Paul.
You know about Nick Diaz, but it's the same process for everybody, and that's what's been going on. You know, if I didn't speak about my own, nobody would have known, because yes, they control the narrative. They have all the power for everything, for the narrative, media, information, money. So they kind of like rule on work on people sometimes.
Have the UFC been in touch since last night? Because I can imagine this will have sent shockwaves through the business.
Oh, as strange as it might sound, we haven't heard from them.
Funny that, right?
No, they haven't been in touch.
Yeah, because they emailed you on the way to your last fight, if I'm right in thinking, about a situation like they threatened you with a lawsuit.
That was an empty threat, you know.
Yeah.
When I saw that, I told my manager, like, you don't have to worry about this, bro. There's nothing here. You know, the thing is, like, being frustrated all the time, being in this situation, and I don't know if he ends up playing in my favor, because he get me to the position that I'm like, you know what, I don't give a shit. You know, whether it's a lawsuit or whatever, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
You know, so when you get in that position that you're thinking like that you're not afraid of anything, you know, maybe sometimes that can make you take a bad decision for yourself, but you don't care about anything.
Yeah. It seems quite poetic to me that the guy they can't control with money, which is what they do with every other fighter, they dangle the carrot, and like people like Jorge Masvidal, for example, who've signed on and just thought, fuck, I'm beaten. I just need to sign this contract and take the money while it's there.
Yeah.
But you're the guy they couldn't control with money, and yet your history is someone who has had less money than anyone to start off with. And so it's almost like you kind of look beyond the value of money, and it's more important to get your worth and to feel self-respect in that situation, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love money, and
of course,
I'm fighting for it. You know, I'm expecting to have as much money as I could, but not at any cost. You know, one thing that is very important for me and for somebody who like know a little bit about my past, I like freedom. I like to be set free. I don't like to be caged. Doesn't matter what is in that cage, I don't want to be caged.
Ironic, because you fight in a cage. But yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
It makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't like to be stuck. You know, I like to be able to have my choice. I like to have options, as everybody should. You know, so in order to like have that freedom, sometime you have to pay your due. We turned down a lot of money on contract in the past 2 years, contract negotiation, because contract negotiation technically is not really a negotiation. It's just like, okay, you take this much money, this more money, and then you signed up for this much time again. You know, you signed up for additional time. So there's not a term that you're going to go in that contract negotiate. There's not like, okay, I want a full healthcare. No, that's out of option. I want this. Oh, that's out of option. This is what we get. You take or you don't take, you know. And most of the time, fighter, since they don't have no choice, they kind of like being submissive, and I'm like, okay, let's just take what I can take. Like, let's take the money, you know. But no, I couldn't be in peace with myself to do that. I would have been. I don't know. I can't live with that since I think about it. So I'm like, I'm having what I want at any cost.
I respect that, and I think they should too. And when you look at the business as it's growing, I looked recently at the UFC 100 fighter pay, and GSP, Brock Lesnar, earning about the same as what you were earning in your last fight. However, that was officially. Obviously, there was a lot more money in the back end for those guys. But the point I'm making is, in that time, the UFC has grown so much, and they've then taken fighter sponsorships away because they've signed with Reebok.
What year was that?
2010, 2009?
2010.
Yeah.
So about 12 years ago.
Yeah, and it's not changed.
Okay, so when you think about, if you think about it financial wise, you will see like somebody who was getting that amount of money 12 years ago worth like 3 times more today.
At least.
If you invest that amount of money in the property, in the real estate, or in the business, you will be having at least 3 times. If you take that amount of money today, want to do something with it, you're going to barely do 1/3 of what you could have done with that money in that time.
And
so it's not the
exactly.
same. It's not the same thing if you consider all this, how things is moving, the business side, the inflation, the cost of living, which on the other side, they can claim that too. But the problem is the business is growing. It's not like they are asking somebody to pay out of his pocket. Just a little part of the cake, guys. You know. Yeah. Yes, if there's nothing, we all starving. We all starve. It's okay if there's nothing. But what I'm saying is like, when there's something, just give maybe no, it's just a fair part of the cake. You know. So when you think about all those, and that's like my problem, you know. Yeah, it's not my business. I didn't build the UFC. They did an amazing job to build the company, and I give them credit for that. I respect that. But still, today I think as a fighter, I have a little bit of input, or at least I need a little bit of respect. Maybe not much, but a little bit. Yeah, because I believe that fighter make promotion.
Of course.
Yeah, you know, like, yes, promotion do help. They do help each other, but fighter make promotion. I don't like the idea that without promotion, fighter is nothing. No, that's wrong. I will say without fighter, promotion is nothing, because without fighter will always exist. They will always be alive, have a life, have a family, without fighting or without promotion. But promotion will never exist without fighters.
And in that time that we were talking about, from UFC 100, they've sold for $4 billion. They've got new sponsors in crypto, in other sporting brands, and they've stopped you fighters from wearing your own sponsor.
For having your own sponsor,
exactly.
Because those guys was having sponsor. That sponsor is a huge problem today for the fighter, and it's very intriguing to see how they have managed to get fighters out of that. I understand the fact that they want to make the sport look good. You know, maybe don't make a uniform for fighters, but they should at least have a certain amount of sponsor that every fighter can put on his gear, because yet this is fighter's source of revenue. Whoosh has been taken from them by a promotion, because now it's not like they are not putting anything; they are putting something on the fighter gears, but it has to be from the promotion. So unless it's from the promotion, they cannot put anything. Fighter cannot. So technically, what do you have? You have nothing left. You go there. When you go there, you fight, and you have nothing. They give you whatever they give you. You have to take it and say, okay, thank you. Go back home, and they expect to get call again. If you don't get call, you don't get nothing. You know, you can't even do your own business. Like recently, they signed a huge deal from with Crypto.com. That was a good deal for them. What for the fighter?
Yeah.
Nothing, right? But guess what? That deal take money out of my pocket, at least 1 million.
Wow.
Because
so you had a competitive brand offer you.
We had a competitive offer from Coinbase.
Okay.
And then when Crypto.com announcement came out, I'm like, listen, guy, we can't do this. What do I get about the crypto deal? Nothing. I just have to wear my gears with a big head Crypto.com in front of it. I don't have any say. I don't have any money about it. But they don't even think about it. They don't even mention it.
Yeah.
If I have my sponsor, if I say, okay, I have my sponsor, I want to put this on my shirt. No. It's even out of option. You know, you don't even have a right to say it, which is something that I don't agree with. I think it's unfair for fighter. Considering how low fighter are getting paid, they should get some right. You know, they should at least have
a space on the shorts that everyone can use, sort of thing.
Yeah. Like, okay, they don't want anything. They don't want everything to appear on the TV. We get that, but at least they can have a department to approve a sponsorship. If you say, okay, I have a sponsor, they'll be like, okay, let's check if he fits in something that we can let him appear on the TV. You know, yes, I'm good with that. They can disagree with some sponsor because yes, they are not good looking. They don't stand for the value of fighting or for the sport. I agree with that, but at least get that option there.
It feels like they've built the business like a team or like an NBA team or NFL brand, but they're not treating you guys like actual players of the team. So they're not paying you. What they're doing is treating you like boxers. So
like we are assets.
Yeah. So you get none of the benefits and all of the shit.
Yeah. But I think I've been thinking, I think the reason is because fighter doesn't have anybody to speak for them.
They don't have a union?
Not even a union. Let's think about this. Most of the time, I never been in the board meeting of a company, of a big company, but let's just speculate. They are in the board meeting of a company. What do they do? They think for the benefit of a company. That's how every business works, right? So if, in other hand, fighter is out there and they don't have nobody to represent them, so who would think for the fighter? Most of the time, they would take this decision which is good for them. They don't even intend to hurt fighter, but he ends up hurting fighter. You know. So, in my perspective, I think they should at least have like a fighter, not a union, but a fighter representation in the board meeting. When they took some sort of decision, that guy will be there to like, listen, guy, what about us? You know, what about fighter? We think this should be good. And I think that way things could get better, you know, because I truly believe that everything that is bad for fighter is not like necessarily a decision that they did on purpose to hurt fighter. Sometimes they just don't think about it. They just ignore it or just think about
They're
their
under
interest.
pressure as well because they were bought by WME and they're expected to deliver profits now.
That's not a problem. You
Yeah.
expect to do whatever you want to do, but remember, you're in the business with somebody. We are expecting to fighter are expecting to do something else. We are expected to pay our loan. We are expecting to send our put food on the table. We are expecting to have our family health insurance to put them in the safe place. We are expecting a lot of things. So, I mean, everybody has an expectation in his life. Everybody has something that he wants. You know, you just have to like compromise and see what is doable for each of them. I think that's how things should be.
I mean, for example, you're sponsored by Gymshark and you can't wear, officially,
No.
I assume you can't wear it on the TV when you're
No,
there.
you can't. You can't. They will check even your underwear on the backstage.
Good luck to whoever checks your underwear.
Yes, to see if there's nothing else.
Wow.
You know, like everything they will check.
And you're one of the lucky few who's managed to secure a sportswear deal that you can wear outside of the octagon. But like you say, with your crypto issue, most fighters, the minute a company hears we can't be seen on the UFC, well, then there's no point. We go direct to the UFC, we give them the money, and it makes the UFC have all the power.
And then the UFC call you, like, okay, we have a great deal for you. This is what we have, and maybe it's 5% of that what they take for the sponsor on your behalf. I'm like, oh, we can get him for this amount of money. They call you, they give you 5% of that.
Yeah.
You want or you don't want. It's a great deal. You have no option. It's not like you have a lot of deal on the table. You have a lot of choice.
And this is partly why you want to fight Tyson Fury, I'm assuming, because you know you've got that freedom and you can make so much money together and you can secure your future.
I don't necessarily agree with that. I don't say this is partly why. This is partly why I don't want to sign a new contract on that term. I can still be in the contract with the UFC and fight Tyson Fury and keep fighting in the UFC. You know, and I always envision things like that. I always think that when comes the moment, it will be something that the UFC can step up and co-promote, you know. And then after maybe Tyson Fury, I will go back, keep fighting. I don't know, fight Jon Jones or fight Stipe again, or, you know, all those things. You know, it's not like it's the end of my career. I'm not like a one fight out of the game.
They're worried about that though, maybe. Let's play devil's advocate, okay? So with Conor McGregor, he was already off to the moon. They couldn't hold him back, so they had to kind of give in to the Mayweather fight because it made so much sense for them money-wise. But with you are in that period where your star is growing, but you're not as big as what you would be if you went and fought Tyson Fury. So what they're probably thinking is, if we don't let him fight Tyson Fury, we can keep him just a little bit less of a star, and therefore he's more affordable, he's still our champion, and we win. So could that be their logic?
And that's the idea that I don't want to. I'm fighting. I don't want to even think about that possibility. Why? Because if you think you have to do something to stop me of doing what I want, I mean, what is the freedom here? What are we talking about? Where is the freedom? What is the definition of a freedom? You know, that might be what I want. It's my choice. I might just go there and fight. I'm like, oh, I'm not fighting again. It's my choice. I have a right to do that. You understand? So the only thing that you can do is to figure out how to change my mind or how to work together in whatever I want to do. That's how it works. It's not like you intend to change the course of my life in your benefits.
I don't think they promoted your last fight very well, for example. I don't feel like they want you to be the biggest star you can be.
No, because they don't want, because I'm not control, they can control me. You know, I'm not the guy that they want to see, you know.
Well, I mean, let's take, for example, the belt moment. You get the belt put on you, and for what is probably the first time ever, Dana White doesn't put the belt on a champion. This is the first time in my memory. How did that feel for you? Because it was a clear you know, I was busy. I don't know if he was delivering a baby or putting out a fire, but he should have been there to do that for you, and yet he still wasn't there. So how did that make you feel?
If you were me, how would you feel?
I'd feel pissed off.
Really?
Yeah, I'd be like, treat me with the same respect that you treat the last 100 champions.
Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
I feel happy. You know why?
Okay.
Because that means I make my point. That means I kind of like understand what I was saying, what I was fighting for.
Oh yeah, you're free now, I guess.
He
wasn't there.
He was unhappy and he couldn't control me.
Yep.
And he get pissed off because things didn't go his way.
He wanted Gane to win, clearly. He wanted Cyril Gane to beat you.
Guess what happened?
You wrestled the fuck out of him.
They lost. I win. So that means technically, yes.
Yeah.
If that's the case, that means he as well lost as Gane that night, right?
Yeah.
So I was a winner. Why should I be pissed off?
Very true. I mean, how did you have a conversation with Dana after this about your plans and how was that conversation, if so?
Yeah, we had a dinner. He was a little weird because there was lately we haven't been having a healthy relationship as you got as well see, and you said yourself. He was very clear that he's not happy with my situation. So I think he was just like to clear things out, like to clear the air, because in where we are, I think in order to move forward, we have to like express something out and get off our frustration. He's probably frustrated as well about something as I am. You know, we need to clear that out. I don't think we're just gonna sit down and just talk contract like normal. Yeah. Because like personally, I can live pretty good without contract, without fighting, you know. And I think this is this has always been. This is even the reason why I'm here. I never let anything control me. I never let the narrative change the course of my life or what people believe change the course of my life. I never let the situation that I am in affect my dream, you know. So that's why I believe in myself and I believe in whatever I do, whatever I want to do, whatever is my dream. I always believe in it. I didn't have a chance to go to school. I didn't even go to high school. I didn't go to college. But I believe that if I can become a huge businessman tomorrow, as that is my dream. I believe that if I want to play another sport that I never practiced in my life, I will just go there, restart over, and then do it. I'm not here because I win by somebody vote, because somebody hired me, because somebody selected me. I'm here because I earned the position. So if I earn that position, that means I have some sort of skill, some ability to go to start over and get there. So I could start over. The lesson that I took from my life is that I can always start over. I'm not afraid of start over, even though I want to continue growing. But if it happened that I have to start over for some reason, maybe just the circumstances of life, I'm not afraid. I know that I can start over and still make things happen. I think today that's like my biggest value, my biggest strength. That's my worth, you know, is that ability to always start over. Because I've been complaining for many times. I've been complaining about my life, my childhood, my days, how many times I have failed, how things never work out for me, until someday I realized that if I fail many times, that means I restart every time, you know. So I restart over and over, because believe me, if you fall and don't stand up, you won't fall again. If you fall and stay on the ground, you will never fall. If you fall many times, that means you're standing up, and that's a good part of it.
I think that's kind of indicative of your fighting style as well, though. Like, you are a risk taker in the octagon. And ironically, I felt last night watching Dillian Whyte versus Tyson Fury that there wasn't enough of that from Dillian Whyte. I think he needed to pull the trigger and go out there and try and make this into a fight. And I know you will do that if you fight Tyson Fury. You haven't got the fear that other people seem to have of failure.
about that fight, I would think, yes, you have to take a risk, but also have to be smart. I think maybe he didn't just have options. Maybe he tried so hard and it didn't work. But I'm a risk taker. I like risk because the best thing always happen in the higher risk. The more you risk, the highest the reward will be.
You'd make a good poker player.
Yeah.
So Dana recently was talking about you having a big ego, and obviously you've got self-confidence, but it's due to what you've been through in your life. Did you hear that quote about him complaining about Francis has got a head so big these days? And did you hear any of that?
You have to understand that every time that you get off the line in this type of situation, you're gonna face a problem. You know, not because you're wrong. You have a guy that has hundreds of fighters on his control, and over the years he have dealt with thousands of fighters. And you think different. You say no to things that maybe everybody says yes. You say no to stuff that nobody really said that to him. Yeah, I mean, that's having an ego, right? I think you will also think like that. And I do have an ego. I mean, I don't have a problem with ego. I'm very happy with my ego because my ego is what, once again, put me here. Like, I look at myself, I'm like, oh, I'm better than that guy. That's why I'm a champion. If you're not able to look at yourself and look other man in the eyes, doesn't matter how strong he is, I'm like, I'm gonna take this guy down, you know.
I mean, just calm down, Francis. All right?
If you don't have that, no, you better just change your job.
I mean, you can't be heavyweight champion of the world without having that.
You can be a champion in whatever you're doing without having that belief. Believe in yourself is kind of like technically like what they would say. Some people would say ego. You know, like, no, I'm good. No, you're wrong to say I will not make it. Oh, yes, you fail. It's okay, but I will make it. That's ego, you know.
Dana White's got a massive ego. I mean, how else can you
He should have an
all
ego.
the fighters and build a business like that? You need an ego.
Yeah,
to do that.
you should have an ego.
Yeah, of course. And interestingly, in the UFC, Dana White's job is to give the fans the best fights possible. And the fight we all wanted was Jon Jones versus Francis Ngannou. And it felt like you two kind of had a bit of an agreement together at one point where you said, we don't fight until we get the money we want. And he could have re-signed you for that fight if they'd put the money on the table for you guys, it felt. But he didn't deliver. And we're 2 years in, we haven't seen Jon Jones for God knows how long. They're now setting up the Stipe fight. Does that fight interest you, the potential Jon Jones fight?
Absolutely. As I said, I think I still have many fights ahead of me. And Jon Jones was one of it. And that was 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago, that I called out Jon Jones and really want that fight, even before the Stipe fight, you know, because I always want that fight. I always think that would be a very interesting fight, beautiful fight. You know, and once again, I get frustrated how things were going because, no, he wasn't just about like having a good fight. It's about having a fight on their term. Like, we will just give you a good fight, as you were saying, like you will only fight Tyson Fury if we can control you, if we control everything. If we kind of like think we don't control everything, if we think that you're asking like maybe a good part of the cake or a, let's say, fair part of the cake, no, it won't happen. We want you to understand who make the call here, you know. So at that point, I dropped it. I'm like, okay, I don't want this to be something. I don't want this to be a leash to control me. The Jon Jones fight. That's why at some point I'm like, I'm not interested in it. Of course, I'm interested in Jon Jones fight, but I don't want that Jon Jones fight to be something will come with a price, you know, to control me.
How do you see that fight going if it happens against Jon Jones? Because in his last few fights at light heavyweight, he didn't look great. He looked like he was getting a little bit slower, very close fights.
And I think for me, he's going to be very good because Jon Jones, he looked a little slower, and as in the past 2 years, he's been putting some weight on, trying to be heavy to come fight at heavyweight, and I think that won't make it any fast.
Yeah. And also, like, at light heavyweight, he's had a massive size and reach advantage on almost every opponent aside from one or two. So this would be exciting as a fan of MMA to see him tested against men his size in terms of frame, and I think it'll be a rough night for him. You know,
I think so too.
Yeah,
I think it's gonna be a rough night. Jon Jones is very tough. He's very talented, but it's gonna be a rough night for him.
Yeah, we've seen him get hit by Machida and other guys who were light heavyweight, middleweights, but you are. As I've experienced, when you walked in the room, I was like, "Oh shit, bigger than I thought." Even, you know what I mean? You're a massive guy. I just want to see you in the octagon, in the ring, competing.
I'll be back next year. 2023 will be my best year yet. You know, I'm coming back. I'll be coming back from a surgery, and it's gonna be a year that I'm gonna do a boxing fight, maybe do some, I don't know, some good 1 or 2 MMA fight, maybe another one boxing fight, you know. So I'm very excited about 2023. It might be a year, my biggest year, the biggest year of my career, because I might be fighting 3 or 4 times that year in 2 different sports.
And you've had your knee injury. How is that going with the knee right now?
It's going pretty good. It's been 5 weeks, and everything looks perfect. The surgeon was very happy after the surgery, and I saw him 3 days ago, and he was still very satisfied with the result, how things are going. Physical therapy is going very good. I've been working without crutches for almost 2 weeks now, so everything is going pretty good, and I think like in 2 or 3 months I'll be able to like at least start to hit like a part or stuff, because I will be able to twist to pivot on that knee, on that leg again, and I will start training. So by September I will really be able to like go in the full calm.
If the UFC just said flat out no, we're not going to allow you to box, obviously you've said you box anyway, do you think you may do an MMA fight in a different organization and fight with Bellator, for example? Would you consider it?
Yeah, I consider fighting. I mean, on this day, you know, everything is possible. Once again, I'm not a guy that I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket. I want to look around and see what's possible. And when I look around, it's a land of opportunity. Everything is laid down there. You just have to have a right look and look at it. Like, let me be hypothetically, like, let's say I don't get to an agreement with any organization. What will happen? Well, maybe I will just go fight for my own organization.
I mean, that's possible, right?
What did it take to have a promotion?
Well, Khabib's just started one, and I had Israel Adesanya on the show recently, and I mentioned, because I've also had Usman, so I'm completing the 3 kings today, you know? It's my 3rd king.
That's where I was going.
Legend. And I was thinking, you know, Khabib's doing something in Russia, maybe you guys could set up something in Africa or something like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The 3 king promotion. How does that sound?
Amazing.
Do we need somebody?
A commentator?
We will just raise money and have a promotion there.
Yeah.
And we have and I have an idea. I've been working on it. I think we're just gonna have like a DAO, you know, raise money from a community that will be like controlling the promotion. So it won't be like somebody somebody decide what to do.
Right.
Every time that you think about something, you're gonna bring it on the table and they decide. Make something in like a crypto or something different
Cool.
will fit the demographic of today.
The three of you have probably inspired so many athletes in Africa to try combat sports. I mean, what does it feel like to be an idol?
It feels good, but I would say he will feel better if you use that in the proper way, if you utilize that. So like maybe build more opportunity or do some stuff, because yes, we are tricking, but still that inspires some people, but still that still doesn't give them opportunity. We are in the position that we can like easily bring some opportunity back home to our people. Maybe some organization like that we won't just take some eyeballs and bring it out there, and he will be a good opportunity for people out there, for fighter who maybe one day make it in the UFC. I do believe that they can have we can have a African promotion good enough for African and to satisfy everybody, and don't make them put their life in risk to go in Europe or whatever, to try and create those crazy stuff. Just be there and keep the ecosystem going.
Yeah, I mean, it's so strange that they haven't done more over there with, the Muhammad Ali story and what he did.
That's part of the problem as well, because yes, for a long time I've been like, okay, how can we have a UFC in Africa? How we want a UFC in Africa, and I still want a UFC in Africa.
Yeah.
But when I kind of like think about it, I'm like, long time ago, one of the biggest event in the combat sport was Rambo in the Jungle, was in Africa. He was great, he was big, he was massive, but how did that benefit people there? What was the outcome? Many decades after, what is the benefit of that in the community? And I can't see any of that. So in my perspective, I think that was a wrong idea. We imported something big rather than started our own thing, even if it's small. At that time, the time that they have a Rainbow in the Jungle in Africa, let's just say at that time, with that money, they built multiple facility in that country, boxing gym, 1 or 2 arena, because that was a huge amount of money for that country. They could have built like 1 or 2 arena, built like 5 or 10 gyms in the country, and then kind of like promote the sport for the youth. By today, that country will be having at least 3 world champions, and the ecosystem there will be so big that they won't be need to like travel, or they won't need other organization. And that's how I'm looking at MMA. I don't just want to bring like, okay, one big event who doesn't belong to our people.
You want to build infrastructure to create more in the future, yeah.
Yes, we can build out of it. We can build a small, we will belong with the ownership, will belong to us, and we will grow over time. In 10 years from now, he will just be growing and impacting on kids, generation after generation, because it's going to be a whole ecosystem. When you have a fighter, when you have a star, you have TV. When you have TV, you have a sponsor, company. When you have sponsor, you have company, there's money. And when those fighters have money, they provide to their family. They need services. They need maybe driver. They need daycare. And then this ecosystem, they are taking money and put it in the economy. That's how they build a country. That's how they build an ecosystem.
I wanna go back to your home and tell me what it was like growing up.
So very often I would say, oh, it was hard, and he was, but once again, I think that's a part of my life. That was something that I needed, because like I have a very difficult childhood, and we can stay here all day long. I will be telling you what went wrong, like how I couldn't just have a normal life as other kids, because I couldn't have pen or book or have a scholarship, a scholar fee taken care by my parent, and all those stuff, who was very hard on me and very frustrating, very hard.
How old were you when you left?
I was 26.
Okay,
Yeah, 26
okay.
when I left Cameroon.
And
2012.
Okay, so you were still very young then.
And which I'm gonna give a credit to my past, to that childhood who was very tough, because he taught me in the hard way, to have to deal with myself, to be on my own, to not rely on people just by not having anybody why I need it,
You don't feel a lot of loyalty?
No, because there wasn't nobody at all
Oh, right.
to rely on. When even your parent can help you, not because they don't want or just because they can, then as a kid, you kind of like understand that you have to work your ass off. Otherwise it won't be easy for you. You don't realize, but it's kind of like education. I think if everything was perfect for me as a kid, I wouldn't be here, and I wouldn't be having this perspective of life.
Yeah.
Because I would have been maybe rely or expect something from somebody or from life, But I have a tough life who taught me to like not expect anything from anybody. You're on your own, And then when you pick that up and like, okay, this is how it is. Guess, believe me, you won't get disappointed at all.
But does that not make it a bit hard to develop connections with other people now? Because you've come from a place that is very different to where you are now. So you've gone from no one giving a fuck to now everyone wants to kiss your ass. Does that make it hard to figure out what's real and what's not?
There's a little bit of both, First of all, as I say, even about my parents, it's not like they didn't give a fuck. It's just like they couldn't do anything. Even those who care couldn't do anything at all. So the situation there, the life there, was so miserable. Anybody couldn't do anything. My mom was always there, but sometimes she was just powerless. Most of the time, but she was there. But he make it very difficult to come to your point. After my parents get divorced, I was 6 years old. I started to live in a different houses, go to different family, and then trying to have friends, trying to be a part of that family, and then was always like, kind of like rejected or something. At school, at home, at school, because I was always a new kid. I didn't have a friend from home that we go to school together. So I get to school, I don't know any kids, whether it's my neighbor or not. I don't have any friend at school, any friend base. So it gets very tough, and my situation didn't help. The fact that at school they will point me out amongst other kids to be the one that doesn't have a pen to take note, or
Okay.
a notebook, or the one that hasn't paid a scholar fee, so they're gonna kick me out in front of other kids. So yes, therefore you are not a good profile to be a friend. Nobody is excited to be a friend with that guy, So despite my effort to have friend, he was very hard. And by the time that you're close to like maybe build something else, have some relation with some kids, then you have to move again, go someplace and start over. So I kept trying, and I think at some point I just like unconsciously give up, like, okay, this might just be my life. I just have to wrap this around my mind, you know, and just accepted it. But I remember like being a child, I kind of like have a virtual war in my mind, a war with a perfect family, with my mom and dad at home, that I could have everything, that we could have eat 3 meals a day, you know, easily, go to school, have friends, go back home. Like that was in my mind. And like when it was so hard for me, I could have escaped and go take a time, go in that war who was just in my mind, virtual, and he was so perfect, good enough to escape. You know, that's why like today, no long time ago, I heard about something they say Meetavis. I'm like, what is Meetavis? They're trying to understand. I'm like, that's look very familiar to me.
Yeah, you had your own
I'm
Meetavis.
like, I've been having that my entire life. I have my Meetavis with me.
I love it. Man, you're a legend.
Yeah. So after all that,
Oh, Christ.
you know, I get used to not have friend and didn't even have a desire to try anymore because I get used to. Then I get to a point, but nobody noticed that you don't have a friend. Nobody noticed that you're just a lonely guy. You just want to be by yourself, you know, until the day that somebody wants to be with you. Then he find out that you are not so friendly. You are not how he expected you or how he wanted you to be. Then you are not a good guy. Guess what? I always been like this, you know. You didn't just give a fuck. You didn't just know me, you know. Now I understand, maybe you want to know me, but this is who I am. Some people will be like, oh, you changed, oh, you this. Screw you. I didn't change. You didn't just know me before. Because if you knew me before, you knew that how I was, you know. Because before I was like that, today I'm like this today, but before I was like that. So technically, I didn't change.
Okay, I got 2 questions because this is fascinating.
Okay.
I feel like I'm learning a lot more about you here. So, personally, I didn't come from having money in the UK. I came from a working class place. But now I've got money. Sometimes I think back to the money struggles that I used to have and wish I had the money. Like I had the money I've got now back then. Do you ever think about that, or is it just not something you even worry about anymore?
I don't wish to have to go back in the past. First of all, I can't do anything in the past. The only thing that I can do is for the present and the future. That's the only thing that I can control. But if for somehow I have a time machine to go back, I won't go back, you know, because I strongly believe that the fact that I knew poverty and that situation make me appreciate what I have today, the life that I have today, even better, and have a different perspective of life. When you see somebody who come from a decent family or from a rich family, he has a different perspective, and he might be having a ton of money, but there is something in life that he will never understand. You know, I had the opportunity to learn that, to understand that, even though it was in the hard way, and without that, I wouldn't be what I am today. Me being rich today, once again, is not about money. I think it's my life experience. My life experience for me is like one of the biggest thing that I value the more, who has a more value. I kind of like understand people, different situation. I go here, I go back home, I hang out with rich people, and I understand their problem, and I see them, what they are facing as a problem. I understand that. I go there, I see poor people, I understand them, I understand everyone. I'm able to assimilate all those. Rich people doesn't understand poor people. Poor people doesn't understand. Poor people don't understand rich people. But I understand both clearly because I've been in both sides. I can think for both of them. You know.
I like that.
That's great.
Yeah, it's a great way of looking at it. And also, like you said, that you went from a guy who was a bit of a loner, a guy who didn't want to be everyone's friend because of how you've been treated. But now the UFC fans, we see you as a very friendly, gentle giant to people when you're not in the cage. So did you make changes, and how did those changes happen with your personality?
Being friendly and being respectful is two things different. I mean, I will respect you. That doesn't mean I want to hang out with you. I want to sit down and watch movies with you.
Well, I could put
Yeah,
whatever.
you know. But I think I have to respect everybody. First of all, you know, whether I like you or not, that doesn't matter. I have to respect you as a person because that's what I'm expecting from you, to respect me in return. You know, that's only what I think I deserve from you. You have a right to like me or not. That's your right. I won't blame you for that. Love is a feeling, but respect is a duty.
Speaking of love, what's Francis's love life like? Now you got women coming after you, surely. What's that like, being the champ? You know, it must be good.
Life has always been good.
Yes, my guy. I like it.
Life has always been good.
Life's always been good.
You know, it's always about perspective.
Yeah, freedom. That's what he wants.
It's always
Freedom.
about perspective.
Options. Okay, is there a type of woman that Francis looks for and is like, that's my kind of woman? Anything?
Okay, how about this?
Okay.
A good woman.
A good woman. Okay.
Yeah.
Is there any celebrity women who you'd be like, that's my celebrity crush? Do you have a celebrity crush or anything?
I had a celebrity crush when I was a kid.
Oh, tell me.
Jennifer Lopez.
Oh, of course. She's amazing, bro.
J-Lo.
Yeah, I think you can still make that happen, you know? I think
Oh
that's on.
yeah. Like,
Just punch Ben Affleck.
even when they tell me,
Ben Affleck, if you're watching, we want her. All right?
even when they always say, "Oh, you should do dance with the star." I'm like,
yeah.
I'm doing dance with the star only with J-Lo.
There you go.
That's
then.
it.
That's it. The terms are set. You got to negotiate. All right? We want it. I like it, man. I like it. And obviously, so we've talked a bit about your upbringing and how you became the person you are. But why fighting? What was it that fighting did for you? What feeling did you get that you just wanted to do more of?
I love fighting since I was a kid. That was my passion. Everything that I could have done and enjoyed was like watching movie or like playing those game, like go out there in the banana farm and just kick and punch those banana tree until they fell down. And even though I was getting beat up after a wound, but I was always do it again and again and again. And not even kids around, they didn't want to play with me. First of all, they didn't have many
Well, if you were
friends.
kicking a tree down, I'm not surprised.
The banana trees, they are soft. So I grew up in Cameroon, so we have a culture of soccer, of football.
Yeah.
So everyone want to play soccer. I was playing soccer, but most of the time, if I would have to choose, it would have been like something like fighting stuff, and they didn't like it. For them, that was violent, you know.
I'm just imagining you trying to get people to play with you,
Yeah.
and they'd be like, "No,
So-
we're playing football, bro."
Yeah, so that was the first. That was the first reason, like me with fighting. It was since I was a kid, you know.
Okay.
But growing up, like having my dad, he was so strong because in my family we have that reputation. My dad was so strong, but was street fighter. You know, was fighting at the street, at the bar everywhere. So he didn't have a good reputation. So I was kind of like ashamed of my dad. So
Why ashamed?
because he have this reputation of being a street fighter, like fighting people, and people are like, oh, that guy, oh, you know. Then I'm like, I don't want people to talk about me like this.
Wow. So he's the genetics of him, and probably what he had in him is now part of you now, and that's maybe why.
I had the same thing,
Yeah.
but didn't just want to go the same way. And I do believe that because he was there to show me maybe not the way to go, but the way not to go. Because from my dad, I really like seeing my dad or hearing people talking about my dad. I was just 6 years old when they divorced, and then we moved, and people started to talk about my dad, because when I was with my dad, I didn't realize that. Basically, I was at 6 years old. So they started to talk about my dad. Then I just feel so ashamed of it. Then I'm like, I don't want to become like that. That was the first thing.
Wow.
You know.
Your dad passed away, is that correct? Yeah?
Yeah, he passed away. That was in 2001.
So how was it to deal with losing him? Were you okay, or was that difficult? Or
He was difficult, but it's not like we have many choice. You know, in Africa, stuff like that happen more often. You lose people. Yes, he was hard. I mean, every kid that basically when you love your dad and you lose him, you know, it's not like a happiness. But you have to deal with it. Life is moving on.
I hope you don't mind, but I seen you posted a picture of him. This was a while ago.
Yeah.
And I actually I restored it. I tried to restore it for you so that you could see it properly.
Wow.
So there's an app that helps you basically be able to see the faces more clearly from the photograph. I sent you this ages ago.
This one he looks very clear than what I have.
Yeah, I thought it would help you so that you could see him a bit clearer.
Thank you.
No problem.
I
mate.
didn't. This picture was like an old picture that somebody gave me.
I sent you that ages
But
ago.
it's clear. It's very clear.
Yeah.
What is the app?
I'll find out. I can't remember what the name of it is. I'll send you it. It's good.
I would like to play with.
Yeah, it's fun, isn't it? Like get your old photographs and refresh them and stuff.
Yeah.
In terms of fighting, coming into the UFC, what we noticed about you that was very different to any other fighter was obviously your power, your striking, but also that willingness to go for it and to go for the kill. Was that just always in you as a kid, and why is it that's your style, do you think?
I think whatever you do in life, you have to do it best, and in order to do it best, there is not such a thing like a motivation, the reason why you do it. Like I will find people who will be like, oh, I want to do MMA, I want to do this, and I'll ask them why. Somebody will say, oh, because I like it, you guys are famous, you guys are this, I want a nice car, I want this. I'm like, bro, find something else, because it won't be easy. You know, if that's your motivation, it won't be enough. You don't walk to that, how they call it, hot door, that aisle, walk into the arena thinking about the car that you're going to buy or whatever you're going to do. That's not motivation. You know, when you wake up and don't want to go to practice, you don't think about stuff like that. And even if you think about it, I'm like, I have a car either way. You know, you need a motivation. You need something who will kick you off your bed when you want to stay. You know.
And what is that for you?
So fighting, first of all, was my everything. You know, I put my everything. I invest my everything in that. Nobody ever believed in me in basically in fighting. When I came up with the idea of fighting in Cameroon, I sounded crazy. Literally, they wanted to throw me in the psychiatric center. This kid is losing his mind, though. We can't stop him from thinking about that thing, you know. So again, I went against their ways. So I put everything in for my family. At that point, I was just a bad guy, a stubborn kid that couldn't listen to what they was telling him. But I believe in something. I believe that it's gonna work, and I believe that the day that it works, they will agree with me. You know, I have to prove them wrong. Yeah. And that was the only thing that I had. Didn't have a job, didn't have a college degree, couldn't maybe have a proper job. you know, was still looking back for my family, that was hoping that, okay, oh, he has made it in Europe, so maybe he could help us, you know, was still hoping that I can provide for them or assist them when they need when somebody is sick and want to go to the hospital, maybe they don't stay at home, as my dad did, because I believe that if with money, my dad could have stayed a few more years. My dad gets sick and didn't have any money to go to the hospital. And I didn't want that to happen. And I think that was always one of my fear, like, okay, what will happen if my mom got sick and I will be there and powerless, you know? So I need to do what it takes, everything that I have to do to be able to like assist people that I care for, you know, when I could. So all those things together, like, was my motivation. At first, like when I was walking to the octagon, sometime, you know, I just think of what I've been through, how I get here. Bro, you have to kill me, you know? I'm not coming there to play with you. I'm coming there to fight. But I'm not fighting you. I'm fighting my life. I'm fighting whatever is wrong in my life. You know, I'm fighting whatever can be a problem in my family that I have to solve. I'm fighting for a solution for my family. I'm fighting for my kids not to ever go through what I've been through, not even know what it looks like, you know, because yes, I don't want to change that, but still I don't want my kids to experience that. I can look at them go through that kind of life, you know. So that was the reason. I think those motivation are stronger.
Very strong. And we've never really seen anyone attack people the way you do. And I put it like that because it really doesn't feel like they want to fight sometimes when you start swinging at them. Like that Rosenstrike fight, you know, that I think it was like 20 seconds, 10 seconds, something like that he lasted. God bless him. Once you started swinging, for me, I'm watching that fight thinking...
No, that fight was different because I was full of frustration.
I mean, it looked that way.
Yeah, that was the moment that even with the UFC, I was very frustrated, and that was still getting me, you know. So I kind of like, I didn't know that he was getting me until that fight. And now I'm like, this thing is gonna take over me. I better control this. So that was like full of frustration.
Yeah, you God damn, you let that out, like, because I've never seen anyone do anything like that fight in the UFC to memory, you know, like this guy did not stand a chance, and he is a very good fighter. You know, he's a hard guy, but when I was just wondering, was there rage within? Because it looks that way.
There was a rage.
Oh yeah,
there was a rage.
Oh wow.
In that one.
Okay, because you seem to have. You've evolved as a fighter so much, and now we're seeing you even with the UFC and everything you went through in the last fight against Stipe, you controlled yourself. The fight before the last one against Stipe, you were so controlled and patient. And how did you master that emotionally?
Try, practice, try to think about it, calm myself down, don't let anything control me. It's freedom. Be free. Said as a free man.
Yes, I like that.
Because when you have like a rage or angry, it controls you.
Very true.
Yeah. But when you're free, you're in peace with whatever is on.
How often do you get annoyed and angry? Does that happen a lot, or
no?
Yeah.
No.
When was the last time you got a bit pissed off at someone or something? Or
I'll get a little pissed off of stuff time to time, but really quick, like nothing.
Nothing.
Like it would take a minute for me to like whatever,
Do you think you intimidate people?
Yeah.
Do you think you overcompensate for that then and try and be nice to try and make people feel less intimidated?
That's what I do. Like when I first get in Paris, in Cameroon, I didn't have this problem, but I went in Paris, and then I was a bouncer in the nightclub. So most of the time, basically around 3, 4, 5 a.m., people will come to me. I'm like, bro, you're scary. You can't smile or something. Like you're just scaring, And then I'm there, I'm tired, my back hurts. I just want to get out of there. and they are drunk, come out like some people will come. I just want to get out of there. You know. Then I realized that I was intimidating, and then I'll have a lot of like comment from people that we are like friends now that will tell me like, oh, the first time that I met you was in this place. Oh, you scared the hell out of me. I'm like, really? What's happened? I'm like, you never see yourself work like you was working like this, and I was coming in the same side, and I just think you're gonna like smash me or something. You know, I'm like, why would I smack? I'm like, you just looks like, you know. So now, therefore, like, if I find myself with somebody coming in the same side, in distance, I know that that person might be intimidated by me. So I will cross, like, to make the person feel safe.
I do a little bit of the same.
Like, okay, there's no threat. I'm walking away, you know. Because even though I'm not going to do anything, or I'm not intending to do anything to him, they will get intimidated. But I didn't know that at first, and people was freaking out.
What was it like being a bouncer in France?
Well, a friend helped me getting that job because first of all, I didn't have a paper, so I couldn't work technically, and that was like one of the only job that I can sneak and work, and they pay me in cash, so I could survive with, you know. So, but he wasn't the job that I wanted to do. He was just so perfect because it was only the weekend, and during the week, I could have trained all day long, and then the weekend go find some job, get some money.
Do you ever have a drunk guy try to fight you?
I get that once.
Wow.
It wasn't a guy, it was a group of guys.
Tell me, how many?
I don't know, 4 or 5.
Wow. Okay.
And then
what happened?
Well, I think they smoked in the club, and then we sent them out, and then they went down the street and wait for me. Like after the club was closed, I was walking by, and they just come like very close, and you know, like they wasn't very drunk, but you're like, okay, this is trouble. I have to step away, like I have to get out of here, you know. And then we just pick up a fight, and my colleague from the other side, he saw it. He came, but he wasn't just like fighting to like, okay, stop them. Like he literally like kicking somebody like in the head. I'm like, bro, I don't want to get involved in this. We better stop this right now.
Okay, so the two of you beat the shit out of them, basically.
Yeah. There was like 5, but there was a group of 10 people, but there were girls and someone didn't want to fight, you know, and the police came and took them, like, asked them if we want to asked also if we want to press charge, because apparently the police car wasn't far. So technically, I think they saw how he began, and they asked if we want to press charge. I'm like, no, just want to go home.
You could have been involved in, like, bouncers get, you know, roped into a lot of shady things at times, you know what I mean?
A lot. Like, I was so happy. Like, for me, you know, but also sometimes someone, like, enjoy doing it. I have a co-worker sometimes that just, like, take a fight when it's not necessary. I'm like, bro, you have to, like, in this job, you have to fight only if it's necessary. I fight for money. I don't fight for free. And then when you fight at the street, most of the time you get hurt. You know, I
get weapons and
what I want is like go there, do my job, collect my money, go home, come back next day. That's it. I don't want to go home and find ice to put on something instead of like sleep. I'm tired. It's like 7 or 8 a.m. in the morning. I've been up all night long, and the only thing that I want is to go lay in my bed.
Fair. Yeah. You mentioned earlier about now that you're in the position that you're in, you're thinking about the future and being able to provide for children. Do you imagine a little Francis one day? Is that something you want to be? Do you want to be a father and have a family and all of that?
Of course.
Yeah?
Of course. Oh, that has always been my dream.
Really? Yeah. How do you think you'll be as a father?
A great father.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I love kids. I love I love. I always love kids. I was a babysitter when I was a kid.
Really? Yeah.
Because I was so good with kids. Like when moms around, like having problem with their kids crying or they want to do something or go somewhere, I would just hear this nice voice like Francis. Then I'm like, oh, somebody need a babysitter. You know. Then I would just go take a baby. They will do whatever they do. I will handle the baby. Doesn't matter how hard the baby is to deal with. He's crying or whatever. I will play with him, do everything until he get exhausted and just.
You've got a lot of patience then. Yeah.
I just enjoy playing with them.
Yeah.
You know, like I was a kid. I think like maybe 4 to 5 years old. I don't remember very well, and I would always like go places with my mom, and I would see kids. One day we were in the bus. Then I saw a kid. So every time that I saw baby, I'm just so excited. So I saw a kid, and then I went to just like grab a baby, and then my mom like she hit my hands like, they don't touch people, baby, like that. And you know, I kind of like get upset, like, damn, what does that even mean? Then from there, I just think that I want my own baby. But I was a kid. So I asked like, okay, at what age they can have a baby? They tell me like 20, about 20. So my entire life, I've been waiting for 20 years to have a baby.
Yeah.
By the time I get close to 20, like 80, I'm like, oh, it's not that easy to have it. It's not as simple as I thought to have a baby.
Yeah, fucking hell. No, big Francis Ngannou, the babysitter. Unbelievable.
I wasn't this big at that time, though.
Women everywhere will be listening to this thinking, you can have my baby. I tell you, you look after my baby, no problem. Fair play, mate. Did you hear Cain Velasquez, the story about him that's come out recently, where allegedly his child was abused at play school? He heard about it. They arrested the guy who was abusing his child, but they let the guy go. And Cain Velasquez went chasing after him. Did you hear about this?
Yeah.
Cain Velasquez had a gun. I think he tried shooting at the car. Now Cain Velasquez is in jail. Ironically, they let out the paedophile, but they won't let out Cain Velasquez, who did what any father would do. You fought Cain. You shared the octagon with him. He was a former champion, a great champion. How does this make you feel, the story?
Well, I think many men in his shoes would have done the same thing. I think I would have been in the same position. Because like, just imagine it, you know, it's just hard to just sit down and I'm like, okay, this guy is out there, set free. I think they should have kept him in jail, you know, until like maybe his anger came down, the family gets settled, and kind of like think like, okay, maybe he's kind of like pay his due, you know, for what he have done, but to set him up that quick I would have done the same thing, bro. Like, that's something that every father would do. You know, protect your family. That's what you live for. When you have a child, your goal is to protect him at any cost, even at the cost of your own life. So yeah, and I think he shouldn't have any regret, because if he's to start over, it's something that you don't think about it. It's instantly. It's a feeling, you know, like I don't know.
The crazy thing about the justice system is
the system.
We could see Cain Velasquez in jail longer than the guy who did all of that.
That's the problem. The guy should stay in jail.
Yeah.
And we should avoid this problem. You know, most of the time, in Cameroon, for example, if you have a car accident and kill somebody, even if you weren't wrong, they will put you in jail for like, I think it's 6 months. This is not to blame you, but it's at some point I think it's like to protect you, because regardless, there is some family out there that are hurt, and sometimes they want to avenge, they want to blame somebody, and that could be you, you know, even though you weren't wrong, So, I mean, it's not fair, but sometimes, yes, they should keep you away,
Yeah, I bet people drive carefully in Cameroon. Fucking hell.
Oh no, they drive very bad.
Really? Oh God.
No, people walk carefully in Cameroon, because if you don't walk carefully,
Yeah.
you get picked up by the car.
Wow. Back to the Fury fight. If we do this with UFC gloves, very small gloves, obviously it's a different game for Fury. He obviously blocks a lot of things with those big gloves that they use. Do you feel like that will give you the chance to connect with him in a way that other people couldn't?
I think there's not that much different in the gloves.
Oh, really?
No, there's not, because it's still gonna be, it's still gonna be a boxing rules, And we're trying to find a compromise, but there's not so much, because if we add a leg kick, it's gonna have a very, very bad night. If we add a takedown or whatever, or MMA rules, it's gonna be. We can now talk about like a murder, because he's not
Wow.
He's not even able to defend himself on that ground.
Did you see him wrestling with
Oh, forget it.
Darren Till?
Yeah, everybody can wrestle,
Yeah.
But how much you can wrestle professionally?
He's very different in his build. He isn't made for like the grappling, is he? He's very much a boxer.
Yeah.
In that sense, yeah.
Yeah.
So what would your prediction be for a fight against Tyson Fury like that?
Regardless, I mean, walking into this fight, depending of the rules, I know he's not like my ground. I know Tyson is a great fighter, and it's going to be very hard for me, basically, like if I'm joining him on his sport, But still, I believe that I have something to still make him have a bad night, have a days of a loss. So
I think you hit harder than Deontay Wilder.
My prediction is like knock him out, because that's what I would try to do.
Yes.
My whole training camp, I was just trying to be collect, don't go crazy, don't throw, don't be very wild, and trying to be accurate, because I'm sure, I don't care how tough he is, if I hit, he's gonna feel it.
It's funny because with the Usyk and Anthony Joshua fight, for example, everyone says you don't box a boxer, you fight a boxer, and you're a fighter. So I think that there's a great deal of interest going to be in this fight, because you can rough it up, you can do things that other people can't do. You know what I mean? And you've got power that I don't think he's, even with Deontay Wilder being, Deontay Wilder's like 35 pounds lighter than you. He's a smaller guy.
And Fury like to use, he likes dirty boxing.
Yeah.
If you see the second, I think it was the second fight against Deontay Wilder, he came out bigger, and right away at the moment that I saw him bigger, I know exactly like what he was doing. I know he's gonna weight Deontay Wilder down, and that's exactly what he's doing.
Yep.
He was just leaning on him, and it was Deontay Wilder carrying Fury on top of him for 2 rounds. He was exhausted, bro.
His skinny little legs couldn't handle it.
And he was doing the same thing yesterday with Dylan White, like just laying on him and like get Dylan White frustrated. I saw the referee blame Dylan White like twice, but Fury was very sneaky about it. Most of the time, Fury was the one initiating the action, and Dylan White get frustrated and react back, and then get blamed by the referee.
Yeah,
but I think that's something. First of all, that's something that won't work with me, because if you're trying to dirty boxing me or to weigh on me, I think I'm gonna take advantage on that. And by the way, I think I'm gonna try to just, I know how I will push it or do something. I think if Fury goes on the canvas 2-3 times, 4 on the canvas, even though he didn't get hit, it's gonna take a little bit of energy out of him.
I mean, I've met Tyson, the great man himself, and you're one of the few humans who is, bigger and stronger than him. You know what I mean? And that's going to be an interesting.
But he's a very good boxer, though.
Oh, yeah.
He's a very clean boxer.
Absolutely, he's fantastic. He's the greatest of the generation.
His boxing is outstanding.
Yeah, if you were given the option of Jon Jones or Tyson Fury, money, let's say the money's the same.
Mm-hmm.
What fight interests you the most?
Why do I need an option why I can have both?
Yes, I like that.
I have an option to have both.
Okay,
I'm going for both.
I respect that. I got a one question left, which is, how would you like to be remembered?
How would I like to be remembered? As a free man who did whatever he want to do.
Legend.
You know.
I love it.
And let put my name in the sport, be remembered. You know. Maybe not as Muhammad Ali, maybe, yeah, but somewhere under there.
You're doing it. You're doing it, mate. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Francis Ngannou on the True Geordie podcast, the UFC Undisputed Heavyweight Champion of the world.
Thank you.
Hey. Legend. Thank you, Francis.
You're welcome.